What if I told you the end times didn't begin with a war, a famine, or even a global pandemic? They actually began the moment Yahshua ascended into the clouds. In Acts chapter 1, verses 9 and 11, it says, "He was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. And the angels declared, 'This same Jesus, Yahshua, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come back in the same way you have seen him go into heaven.'" Ever since that moment, history has been counting down to his return. Prophecies are unfolding, signs appearing one by one. But here's the real question. Are we paying attention? Because what began then is happening right now all around us. I recently endured Hurricane Helene. No electricity, no phone, no internet, and no running water for nearly a month. As a wife and mother, I prayed for Yah's protection. And not only did he cover us, but he also covered our entire community. Yes, we were without utilities, but his grace kept us safe, provided food, and gave us opportunities to serve others. We had moments of doubt, asking, why? But Yah wanted us to trust him and lean on him even more. No one will escape the trials ahead. So read the scriptures, fast, pray, and seek Yah like never before. In the previous video, we uncovered some truths that challenge what many of us were taught about the true identity of Yah's people and how history has been, well, let's just say, edited. But that was only the beginning. In this episode, we're diving deeper into prophecies unfolding before our eyes. Prophecies that connect ancient scripture to modern history. And it might just change the way you see everything. And don't worry, this is about you, about us, and about a promise that's been in the works for thousands of years. Let's get into it. Let's start with a prophecy that's already in progress. For those just awakening, you'll soon learn how the Bible relates to you personally. Yah's chosen people look like you, and the Most High is waiting with open arms for you to reconnect with him, as Joel 2, verses 12 through 13 reminds us. Turn to me with all your heart, with fasting, weeping, and mourning. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness. The Most High wants us to repent, to turn from our sinful ways and mature spiritually. He desires a constant connection with us, breaking down every barrier or idol until we're fully restored to him. Thousands of years ago, the Bible foretold a time when Yah's chosen people would be scattered and endure 400 years of oppression for turning away from him. Genesis 15, verse 13 states, "Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. We already know who fits this description, but if this is your first time watching, make sure you check out our previous video to discover who the true Israel is. The link is in the description. For centuries, the Gentiles, guided by Satan, whose mission is to deceive the entire world, have benefited from the captivity of Yah's people, building systems and empires on the backs of those who have been oppressed. Luke 21 verse 24 speaks directly to this. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. The times of the Gentiles refers to the period when Gentile powers dominate Jerusalem, the Hebrew people, and the entire world. This began with the Roman invasion in 70 AD, when General Titus led the Roman army to destroy the Second Temple and disperse the remaining population throughout the Roman Empire. This marked the beginning of the last significant scattering of Israel. Yahshua prophesied this in Luke chapter 21 verses 20 through 24, warning of the coming desolation and dispersion of his people. The scattering that began in 70 AD later culminated in the worldwide transatlantic and Arabic Eastern slave trades, fulfilling the prophecies of oppression and scattering to the four corners of the earth. But what exactly is tribulation? Tribulation refers to the period of suffering and trouble that befalls Yah's people, often called Jacob's trouble in the Bible. Jeremiah 30, verse 7 describes it like this: Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it, and it is the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. This tribulation has stretched across centuries, and even now we are still living under Gentile dominance and rule. And yet, this is not the end. As Yah's people recognize their heritage and reconnect with him, we see the fulfillment of the prophecy in Ezekiel 37, the valley of the dry bones, where Yah breathes life into his people, reviving them to their true purpose. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, Surely I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. Ezekiel 37, verse 5. Ezekiel 36, verse 24 also promises this: I will take you from among the nations, gather you from all countries, and bring you into your land. It's like a switch has flipped, a realization spreading across communities. This awakening is just the beginning. But before this gathering is complete, there is an important prophecy we must understand: the wilderness. In Revelation 18, verse 4, we hear a call to Yah's people: Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, lest you receive of her plagues. This warning urges Yah's chosen people to separate themselves from the corrupt systems of the world, systems destined for judgment. Just as Yah commands his people to come out of the daughter of Babylon, both spiritually and physically, he is preparing them for a pivotal journey to the wilderness. Revelation 12, verse 6 describes this wilderness as a place prepared by Yah for the woman representing true Israel, Yah's chosen people. The wilderness is symbolic of refuge and divine protection, signifying the scattering of Israel to the four corners of the earth and their ongoing journey back to their inherited land. This aligns with Isaiah 11, verse 12, which says, and he will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Historically, the wilderness served as a place of divine protection, purification, and protection for Israel after the exodus of Egypt. In the same way, this prophetic wilderness represents a time of separation and refinement for Yah's people, emphasizing the significance of the current scattering and the final exodus as they journey back to their covenant and inheritance. This final exodus is already in motion as we witness the return of Yah's people to the continent of Africa, fulfilling the prophecy in Jeremiah 29 verse 14. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. And where were the slaves taken from? Africa. This journey is part of Yah's ancient pattern of leading his people out of bondage and restoring them to their land and covenant with him. There is nothing new under the sun, and Yah's plans to restore his chosen people will prevail. Let's turn to Revelation 12, verses 13 through 15. When the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman, Israel, and those who joined her, who gave birth to the male child, Mashiach, and the mature followers who go wherever he leads. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness, where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time. Here, the dragon, Satan, intensifies his pursuit to destroy Yah's people. But they are given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness. This imagery powerfully reflects Yah's divine protection and deliverance, just like in Exodus 19, verse 4, where he carried Israel on eagle's wings to safety. And when I was reading this, I couldn't help but imagine those wings as an airplane, carrying people to a safe destination guided by Yah's will. But in this context, the wilderness isn't just a place on a map. It's both a physical refuge and a spiritual sanctuary where Yah's people are sustained and protected from the serpent's reach and the world's oppressive systems. The wilderness is also a place of spiritual testing and preparation. Ezekiel 20, verse 35 through 36 reinforces this understanding. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and there I will plead my case with you face to face, just as I pleaded my case with your fathers in the wilderness of Egypt. Yah promises a final wilderness experience, not just for physical survival, but for spiritual cleansing and renewal. Just as the Israelites were tested and purified in the wilderness before entering the promised land, Yah's people in the end times will face a spiritual exodus marked by trials, divine protection, and ultimate restoration. In Revelation 12, the wilderness serves as a prophetic symbol of Israel's current scattering and journey back to their covenant and true identity. It's a time of preparation, calling Yah's people to return not only to their land, but to their spiritual roots through repentance and a renewed understanding. This final exodus aligns with Yah's plan to regather and restore Israel to the land of their forefathers. But it's more than just a physical return. It's a spiritual revival, fulfilling ancient prophecies and marking a new chapter in the story of Yah's people. This journey back to the wilderness represents a path towards redemption and reconnection with the Most High. So, what does this mean for us today? We are living in a time of awakening. People are discovering their true identity beyond what's being taught in history books, beyond Black History Month. But this awakening is more than just awareness. It's a call to prepare spiritually because the trials in the wilderness are near. The wilderness is a time of testing and purification, a time to become a royal priesthood to the world, reflecting Yah's light to the nations as we approach the end of the age. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 reminds us, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." Imagine this. People from all walks of life turning to the true Israelites for guidance, eager to understand the word of Yah in a whole new light. This isn't just about predicting world wars or financial collapses. It's a spiritual awakening, one that places God's chosen people at the very center of his unfolding plan. And here's the part that might just give you chills. This awakening is for you. Yes, you. Whether you're new to this or have been on this journey for years, it's time to dust off that Bible, start reading it cover to cover, and see how these ancient prophecies are leading up to an incredible moment in history. Because trust me, the story is far more exciting when you know you're a part of it. The Bible foretells a time of intense conflict, a final showdown between the nations and Yah's people. Zechariah 14 verses 2 through 3 says, "I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations." This is the kind of event that will be impossible to miss. The Bible vividly describes this final battle where all the nations of the world will rise against Israel. But this is when Yah intervenes. Just as he fought for Israel in ancient times, he will fight once again for his people. Zechariah 14 verses 2 through 3 tells us that even though these nations will come against Jerusalem, the Lord himself will go out and fight against them. This is echoed in Revelation 19, where Yahshua returns on a white horse, leading the armies of heaven to utterly defeat the nations led by the Antichrist. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet will be destroyed, and their forces cast into the lake of fire. Some scholars suggest that the events unfolding in the Middle East now are connected to the final battle or an impending World War III. However, this interpretation does not align with Scripture, and the people they reference are more closely linked to Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. According to the Bible, they are not the true descendants of the children of Israel. Romans 11 makes it clear that all of Israel will be saved, not referring to a specific geographical location, but to the entire nation made up of all the tribes of Israel. In Ezekiel 38, the enemies of Israel, symbolized by Gog and Magog, will rise up against Yah's people. In response, Yah will unleash fire, hail, and pestilence, dominating his divine power and bringing judgment upon all who oppose him. Amidst these events, there is hope. During this time, the true descendants of Israel will cry out for their Messiah. Zechariah 12 verse 10 says, "They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and will mourn for him." This is when the king steps in, not only to rescue his people, but also to bring justice and restoration to the entire world. This final battle represents the culmination of humanity's rebellion against the Most High, and it will end in victory for Israel. Yah will establish his kingdom, utterly defeating the nations that rise up against him and vindicating and protecting his people. In this ultimate act of divine justice, Yah's power and protection over Israel will be displayed for the entire world to witness. The Bible calls this the end of the age, a time when the kingdoms of the world will finally give way to the kingdom of God. And for those who seek him, this is not the end, it's the beginning of something beautiful. So what's next? Get closer to the Most High. Read his word and don't rely on secondhand interpretations. Dig deep. Seek him in prayer, meditation, and through understanding the scriptures. This isn't just history, it's our story, and the end of the age is approaching. For those who seek Yah, this is just the beginning. In our next episode, we'll discuss the color of Yahshua, his name, and the doctrine of the Nicolaitans. Join our community now. You don't want to miss it. To true Israel, you are redeemed. Now is the time to realign with the Most High Yah. Thank you for watching and connecting with us. Peace and blessings to you all.